Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank our witnesses for being here today. As the United States begins to reopen, and once all Americans have had a chance to receive the COVID-19 vaccine, we must prioritize vaccine assistance to our neighbors in the Western Hemisphere. China and Russia are advancing powerful disinformation campaigns in Latin America against American vaccine efforts and, of course, the pandemic's origins. In particular, the CCP is exploiting the region's health and economic vulnerability to promote its foreign policy priorities. They're leveraging the public health crisis for investment opportunities and pressing Taiwan's allies to sever diplomatic relations. Unfortunately, it seems to be working. Just this week, President Juan Orlando Hernandez of Honduras, an enduring ally of Taiwan, announced that his country may open a commercial office in China. He said that the CCP wanted a, quote, diplomatic bridge, end quote, before Honduras could buy their vaccines. According to an article in Financial Times titled, quote, Chinese jabs dominant Latin American vaccination campaigns, end quote, China has shipped more than half of the 143.5 million doses of vaccines delivered to the region's 10 most populous nations. Yet worldwide, the United States is by far the largest donor. However, because we're funding this through the multilateral initiative COVAX, the Chinese Communist Party can make it seem like they're the most generous. As China and Russia fill the vacuum in Latin America and the Caribbean with their suspect vaccines, many are resorting to a new trend called COVID shot tourism. Travel agencies are advertising trips to the United States to get the shot. One ad in Mexico says, quote, want the COVID-19 vaccine? Have a U.S. visa? Contact us, end quote. Demand has soared and prices have increased by as much as 40% for flights from Mexico to the United States as thousands from across the Americas try to get their shot here. States and cities are responding. On May 6th, New York City's government tweeted a quote, welcome to New York, your vaccine is waiting for you. We'll administer the Johnson & Johnson vaccine at iconic sites across our city, end quote. Our friends in Latin America are right to distrust the Chinese vaccines. As a physician, I know that the safety of the CCP vaccines, such as Sinovac and Sinopharm, is questionable at best, and their efficacy is extremely poor. Even the director of the Chinese Centers for Disease Control and Prevention admitted that their vaccines don't have high protection rates. Additionally, according to Liberal Human Rights Watch, the CCP has detained vaccine safety advocates, censored information critical of the Chinese vaccines, and spread propaganda and disinformation regarding Western vaccines. Does this sound like a regime that's confident about the safety and efficacy of its vaccines? Of course not. Why should the United States, or what should the United States do to help our neighbors to the south and counter China's malign vaccine diplomacy? For starters, vaccines distributed using U.S. taxpayer money must be branded as U.S. assistance to counter CCP and Russian disinformation. The people of the world must know that it is not communism, but freedom that is bringing these vaccines, reliable vaccines, to the world. We also should be prioritizing aid to Latin American and Caribbean nations, many of whom are struggling with COVID outbreaks and have historically been forgotten. Finally, we need to protect American intellectual property. America's IP laws have helped foster life-saving innovation, including the miraculous success of former President Trump's Operation Warp Speed. Waiving our IP protections would endanger American jobs and enable the CCP to profit from America's hard work and investment. I urge the Biden administration to incorporate these critical points in any strategy of COVID foreign aid. We cannot let Russia, China, or any of our adversaries benefit from a global health crisis. The world is crying out for America's help, and America must answer, America must lead. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield.